Hey crew, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun and creative scroll saw project video, I'm going to be revisiting a past scroll saw project that I did just to see how well my skills over at the scroll saw have evolved. I think it's going to be a beautiful and appropriate springtime project to make and bring to life visually over here on the platform. All the patterns have been photocopied to full size and attached to our material with clear packing tape, and they're laying here on the table saw in front of me. And the design we're going to be making comes from a very old issue of Creative Woodworks and Crafts Magazine, March 2007, so almost 20 years old. And you can see the beautiful Intarsia horse there on the cover of it. Very good resource to have these old magazines here, because I can look back on projects that I made way back in the day and potentially bring them to life again, like we are doing in today's video. The project we are going to be doing is on page 46, and here you see Carousel Wind Chime, a very beautiful, very intricate design. It's got the galloping horses, traditional with a carousel in the rotunda, where they would go around and go up and down, bringing joy to both young and old when you are riding them. And then there you see a full picture of it there with the clapper that makes the pipes, you know, make their musical sound. It's got little pennants on it, and the design is made by Mrs. Sheila and Mr. Tom Landry. So Sheila and Tony Landry, excuse me. So thank you for the beautiful and creative design. And the following pages gives a nice article in detail on how to make and bring the project to life to the best of your abilities. Again, a great resource to have these magazines. The full-size pattern is located in the pattern pull-out section, and I'll show that at the end of the video. But as I said, we're going to be making a project I made way back in the day. Here is the version I made back in 2013, early 2013, when I got back into scroll saw woodworking out here in the workshop. And it hangs in the eave of the workshop. You know, outside the door there's a little eave about 2 foot, and I've got it hanging up there where it's protected by the weather. But as you can see, it is starting to delaminate, because at the time I just had some scrap material here, and I was just using what was on hand in the workshop and in the storage shed just to make stuff. And this was made from 1/2 inch Baltic birch plywood. So again, it is delaminating. It's not the appropriate material to have out in the weather, but you can still see the beautiful and intricate details here. Really love how it all comes together. And then we have some copper pipe here, and what we're going to be doing is reusing the hardware on this project. And I'm going to take the carousel itself and just set it up near the scroll saw display wall for posterity's sake, you know, just so I can look back and then look at the new one and see how far my skills has progressed. But I feel like it would be a beautiful springtime project to make and bring to life. You can hear it going there. Always love wind chime. My mom loves wind chimes. And when the wind really gets up, keep in mind, copper pipe does have a little bit of weight to it. When the wind gets up and the shop doors propped open during the springtime, I can hear the jingle of the pipes themselves. But again, we will be reusing the hardware there. I've got some dowel rods here. Now on the old one I just showed you, it took 1/4 inch dowel rods. I do not have enough 1/4 inch dowel rods on hand, so we're going to be using these here that I have on hand. You need some craft beads to go at the top and the bottom. I picked these up at the local Hobby Lobby, and depending on what size dowel rod you need, you might need to carefully take a drill and a drill bit and drill out the holes to accept the dowel rod you use. And then all of the scroll saw work is right here in the palm of my hand. There's not very many pieces, but with the way it has to go together, you need to be extremely loyal to the cut line. And I feel like you pretty much need to have a drill press to drill out the potholes, because you've got to drill some perfect 90-degree holes at a depth for this project to come to life. You have the 6 horses here, and you can see the dotted line through it, and I've got the dotted line extended here. I've got to carefully drill to the center of this to the best of my abilities, all the way through the horse to later accept the dowel rod just like that. So again, I feel like a drill press is essential here. And all the material we're going to be using in today's video is 1/2 inch poplar. Here you have the piece that blows in the wind to make the musical notes and the clapper move, and you need to drill a small hole here. I've also got that one indicated with a smaller drill bit. The clapper that goes between the pipes You know, that's 1/2 inch material, and then you have the top and the bottom here. And again, it's going to be very key to line up everything to the best of your abilities, because this piece goes down here, this piece goes here, and the dowel rods will connect the two pieces, and it's carefully indicated where you need to drill all of the holes. So since everything is pretty much prepped and prepared, we're going to move the camera over to the Craftsman drill press and drill out the pilot holes as carefully as we can, so we can head over to the Rikon scroll saw and start scrolling. And over here at the Craftsman drill press, we're taking that larger drill bit and drilling out the center of the horses. And I am using a brad point drill bit here to be as accurate as possible on all of the marks that are indicated. Then I'll switch to a smaller drill bit and drill out to where we will put the thread that holds the copper pipe for the wind chimes. And I feel like with a project like this, you do need to have a drill press. A lot of the pilot holes need to be very, very accurate. But now over here on the Rikon scroll saw, I am using a number 5 Ultra reverse tooth blade to cut through all of the material in today's project, and it will cut through the 1/2 inch poplar exceptionally well with minimal chip out. Beginning with the top of the Carousel wind chime here, it's got this swirling effect at the top. But I will just, as always, take my time and let the blade do the work and get through all of them. This brought back a ton of memories. I remember making this back in early 2013, and I remember how, since I was just getting back into scroll saw woodworking, how tedious the project was. So it was nice to come back and make it again with some fresh eyes, so to speak, and also just to see how much my skill has progressed over at the scroll saw. But we are cutting out the individual horses here. The pattern that I am using comes from a very old issue of Creative Woodworks and Crafts Magazine, and I want to thank them. Even though they are discontinued, I want to thank them for providing the beautiful and creative designs that we have been making and bringing to life over here on the YouTube platform. Keep in mind, these horses have a hole drilled through the center of them, so when you get to that spot, the scroll saw will want to fly through it, so just be very careful. But we are wrapping up with the horses here, and I am setting all of them aside as I get them cut out. Again, that's why I like having an L-shaped workbench. But now we are doing the final couple interior cuts here. This is the bottom of the carousel frame. And then it will be time to release all of the pieces from the waste wood, being as loyal as I can be to the cut line, and of course taking my time and letting the blade do the work. My hometown of Burlington, North Carolina has a historic Denzel carousel at its city park, and it is the centerpiece of the annual Carousel Festival that's held every spring in Burlington, North Carolina. Didn't take long at all to get all of the parts cut out. But once they were, it was time to head over to the workbench and remove the pieces from the waste wood. And we see all of our pieces that we have cut out laid out here. But now it'll be time for sanding with 180 grit Klingspor Woodworking Shop sandpaper and the vibrating palm sander. And I'll sand the front and back side of everything with small circular motions, and the perimeter of both frame pieces. And I'll carefully sand all 6 of the horses. But then over here on the workbench, it's time to measure out our dowel rods, and I'll use the original one I made back in 2013 as a reference. And I'll take the dowel rods over to the bandsaw and quickly cut them down to size. And then it will be time to begin the assembly process. For all of the assembly on this project, I'll be using medium grade CA glue and activator. Now, of course, with this being an outdoor project, I do not know how well this will hold up, but I'm using CA glue here for time purposes to get these scroll saw project videos filmed and out to you all who watch them out in the big wide world. So if you make a design like this, you can of course use the proper wood glue. Now I'm putting the horses on the post here, and I'm trying to stagger them in an up and down manner, how a real carousel will be when it is going in circles. But again, this project brought back so many nostalgic memories of when I got back into scroll saw woodworking in early 2013. Now putting the top on and putting the little craft balls on here. And after everything is fully assembled, I'll let everything completely dry and cure for around 5 minutes. And then it was time to give everything a bath with Rust-Oleum clear gloss. And I gave everything a few coats, and I let them dry completely. And I turned on the fan to help accelerate drying time. But after it was drying, I took the string from the original one and threaded it through the hole and tied in the clapper and the bottom counterweight, and then I hung it on a wire from the rafters of the workshop so we could begin the tedious process of putting all of the copper pipes back on it. Again, these are from the original one. And if you did not want to make this a wind chime, you could of course just use the carousel design on its own, and it would still be a beautiful project. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. But there is 6 copper pipes, and I had them laid out in the order they went in, and it just takes time to thread the cord through all of the holes and through the copper pipes themselves. But when I was satisfied, I tied it off and I cut off the excess string, and then for an added feature, since I am a pirate, I put some decorative pirate flags around the top of the carousel. And when that was done, the project was complete, and I think it turned out beautiful. And here we have the completed carousel themed wind chime, cut out completely from start to finish over on the Rikon scroll saw, and I think it finished up beautifully. Way better than the one I made back in 2013. Of course, hopefully my skills have progressed out here in the workshop in the intervening years from 2013 when I got back into scroll saw woodworking until now in spring of 2026. But really cool. I've still got it hanging from the rafter on a wire for the string here, but you can see and you can hear the musical chimes of the carousel. I'm going to take it off the hook. I'll put it back on there, but I want to bring it up close for you all to see, and I hope you all like that little added detail of the pirate flag pennants there. The original one I made didn't have the pennants. They are featured in the magazine, but they're just little flags that I'll show you here momentarily. But I've got these little pirate flags I put in when I do sticker swaps for the sticker swap sticker wall and everything, and I can get them in bulk, and I thought it would just be a really cool way to show the pirate vibe on this carousel wind chime. But all of the scroll saw work was from 1/2-inch poplar, and then we used some small dowel rods and craft beads, and then we used the old string and the old pipes from the original one to reuse them. Of course, the original one right here that's been hanging under the eave of the workshop since around 2016 or so. It was hanging somewhere else before then. I'll put it up near the scroll saw display wall just to preserve it and keep it here. I made it in March of 2010. 2013. So from this one made from just Baltic birch plywood to this one here made from actual woods as opposed to plywoods, I think it finished up beautifully. Now this is copper pipe and it does have some weight to it. You've seen when I had it hanging here, when I was hooking the pipes to it, it wanted to kind of go to the weight of them, but after all of them was attached, it was perfectly balanced out. And the clapper wheel in the center, of course, gives that musical note when it strikes the copper. And then the bottom here is also a carousel. I think this really shows off what a scroll saw is capable of with a little bit of time, practice, patience, and effort. And it only took me around 30 minutes to do all of the scroll saw work. Of course, it takes a lot longer to do the assembly process, the drying process, and I tried to do the horses at different intervals. I had a little bit of space to work with, so I wanted to do them at different intervals to make it look like the classic old school carousel, you know, where they go up and down during the movement. But I think it finished up beautifully. And we just finished it with basic clear coat, Rust-Oleum clear gloss, and you can see it hopefully reflected in the lights of the workshop. I of course can see it here, you know, as I'm looking at it. The original one I stained back in 2013. For some reason I felt like, again, I was just getting back into scroll saw woodworking, I felt like I had to stain each and every project that came out of the workshop, you know. But then as I got to experiment with more exotic or hardwoods like cedar, walnut, oak, poplar, I started learning that when you clear coat them, the beautiful grain textures really come forward. So I opted to not stain this one, but of course you could stain it. You could go in with paints if you're good with paints and paint everything. And I also feel like you could use just exotic or hardwoods and let their actual colors shine through. I believe the one here in the magazine featured I'm getting ready to show you was made out of oak and then dowel rods. But I also feel like there's other options and versatility for this beautiful and unique Carousel Wind Chime. I feel like if you were good with photo editing software, or if you were good with like drawing freehand and everything, you could theme this to anything out there. You could use, of course, just the top, the bottom, and the dowel rod and the craft ball as a frame, as a starting point, and you need 6 individual pieces here and a themed piece at the bottom. But I feel like, especially thinking of, you know, with the skull and crossbones here, or the cross swords and the pirate, you could theme this to Halloween and maybe make like flying witches on a broomstick, or skulls to go in here, or pumpkins, and then make a themed clapper at the bottom. For Christmas, you could do maybe Christmas trees all the way around it with an ornament themed clapper board at the bottom. The skies is the limits, and that's one thing I still continue to love about scroll saw woodworking, is the options and versatility that each and every pattern that you come across offers. Now this one here will take the place of the old one, and this one here again will go on display in the workshop. But I'm just curious to see how long this one will last before it starts deteriorating like this one here. Again, keep in mind it is made of wood, and appropriately you would want it hanging to where none of Mother Nature would get it. Of course you want it to where it can, you know, you can make the musical noise, of course, but again, I think it finished up beautifully. I'm going to hang it here on the hook again. Carefully. It's just a nail hanging from the rafters and some wires hooked to it. The design we made today and brought to life once again comes from the old discontinued issues of Creative Woodworks and Crafts Magazines all the way back to March 2007. So the magazine is almost 20 years old, and my copy is unfortunately falling apart. It's just the nature with older magazines. And I've got a bunch of photocopies in here because I had made a few of these back when I got into woodworking. Everybody just liked them, but the article and everything begins on page 46. So here you see the one that we made, the one we made originally, and then here you see the visual representation featured in the magazine. Again, you can see the pennants that they had there. Of course, you could put any kind of pennant you want there. You could put ribbons on it. I just think it's going to look cool, and it'll help capture the wind and hopefully spin it around like a traditional carousel. But I want to once again thank Mrs. Sheila and Mr. Tony Landry, Sheila and Tony Landry, for the beautiful and creative design here. Once you photocopy the patterns to their full size out of the full size pattern pullout section, and if you ever want to seek out these older magazines, please double check and make sure the full size pattern pullout section is in them. There you see the full size patterns that were photocopied. What follows after the initial photo and description is a very cool and detailed article on how to make and bring this project to life visually out in your garage or workshop. I really love these older issues and being able to go back and revisit projects just like this. I know when I seen it, I thought I could never make this and bring it to life on a video because I wouldn't know how to film it. But again, you know, a progression of your skill set out in your garage or workshop, I was able to finally realize how I wanted to film this and how I wanted to make it and show it to you guys, and hopefully inspire you to maybe want to make a wind chime for the spring season out in your garage or workshop. I really love that musical sound. I love music. You always know, crew, that I have it playing all the time in the workshop. But really, really happy with this, and I cannot wait to hear it when I prop the shop door open on nice days and we get a gentle breeze and I can hear it just in the background. But really, really cool. Hope you all picked up a tip, trick, or tidbit along the course of today's video. Of course, you need to take your time and let the blade do the work and be as loyal as you can be to the cut line. And with the nature of all the holes you need to drill, I feel like you need to, of course, have a drill press or a way to drill perfectly at 90 degrees. I know they make jigs and tools that'll hold a drill, a corded or cordless drill, you know, where you can make it like a drill press, but I feel like that would be very important to drilling those holes out to accept the dowel rods through the middle of the horses there. But really, really cool. Had a lot of fun in today's video, and it was so cool to go down memory lane and make this project and bring it to life for you guys out there in the big wide world we live in. That's going to be about all for this one. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social media feeds will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, crew, and remember, if I can make it or do it, so can you all. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you all real soon.